Excuse me for saying so, sir, but not to put too fine a point on it, but I'm pretty sure you're not a dude, brother. And I'm pretty sure that this is somebody else completely that I'm talking to, if not some of the women that I was chatting to earlier. And I'd be willing to actually bet good hard currency on that. If I'm lying, I'm dying, but you're not a broad, dude. Second of all, I'm not homosexual, I'm heterosexual, so that would kind of not make it so that you and I would be anywhere near one another in a naked or a compromising capacity. But since I'm dancing in a minefield, brother, I would probably hazard to guess that you're in fact not a dude but a chick, and you're a chick that I was talking to earlier that has a hard time about talking about her feelings because she's afraid to be hurt. And inside, she's a scared little girl. And what you have to remember, my friend, girl, is that in actuality, I'm an empath, which means where this kind of thing is concerned, I can kind of tell who you are, and I can kind of tell. I get an intuitive like feeling, you know what I mean? It's kind of like a sixth sense, the third eye, the pineal gland, shit like that. You get my point, right? But, you know, that being said, let me say that about this and this about that, brother. Or sister, as the case may be. I feel like under normal circumstances, I would invite you to come out and maybe we could sit down and possibly be friends or talk or whatever, but this is not normal circumstances. And Disarray, that's actually kind of funny that name goes so closely with yours, Desiree. I feel like under the right set of circumstances, maybe this could have gotten started a while ago, but now knowing what I know about Selena and about you and about this whole thing, you're not high on my fucking list of I don't know. If you did lie to her and tell her to stay away from me, or if you were afraid that she was going to hurt me, you obviously don't know me very well. And I'm sorry that you seem to think that I would hurt you, because I wouldn't do that either. And you need to realize something. I'm not a bad guy. But again, I'm not somebody that should be taken lightly. And I get lost in the shuffle when it comes to sitting in places like this, because so many people are here for specific reasons, and everybody labels me as a guy that just pissed off his parents and doesn't have a place to stay because he ran out of favors and ran out of money. And if it were only that simple, I really wouldn't be here, but it is what it is, right? And that dancing in the minefield was a good indication as to who I'm talking to. And I'm sorry that you feel like I'm dancing in a minefield, but in actuality, I'm not. I'm simply pointing out some facts that need addressing. And the fact of the matter is that for the past 10 years, I've been fucking used as a fucking feeding tube for various and sundry people that have been in this particular situation, and I'm sick of it, and I'm fucking tired of it. And I'm not dancing in anybody's minefield. I'm simply saying that this whole thing has got to cease. And under the right set of circumstances, I would date her, probably, yeah, I would still, even still. Her intellect is what intrigues me about her. However, somebody else possibly hiding behind their posts and making it so that I would come clean about who my actual feelings for were, and all the pleading and begging, and not really pleading and begging, but the pleading and the honest whatever that I had done earlier would mean absolutely nothing, because in this particular regard, I would be made to be addressed or looked at as a fraud. because I'm hitting on one, then I'm hitting on the other. But it doesn't work that way. Like, you can't turn off the feelings. And I have to look at this situation from an objective point of view and realize what's best for me, and that's Selena. And the thing that she needs to realize is that I'm crazy about her. And I know that this wouldn't be easy, and with her, there'd be some stuff I'd have to accept. And with me, there'd be some stuff that she'd have to accept, right? But it would be a good union, I think, and it would be something that would be beneficial for both of us. And I got so pissed off when I thought that she was going to go out and fuck numbnuts for tonight, and I just about lost my shit. And you know, it's not baby when the lights go out and all the rest of that horse shit. I'm way past all my misgivings when it comes to homeless shelters. And I'm sorry, but the fact remains that I actually said what I said about Compass House, and that was a big error in judgment. And I have good feelings for 3 women in that particular situation. And one in particular, and I don't mean to keep harping on that, and at certain points in time she'll say good things, and at certain points in time she'll say bad things, and at certain points in time she'll say things I don't want to hear. The only thing is it's always addressed from the sadistic queen. And that being said, I know who the sadist is. It's fucking Desiree. And you know what? Realistically, if you're trying to threaten me, motherfucker, you can't threaten me with anything I haven't already done on my own time to myself for kicks. Or I haven't had some woman do to me on fucking date night. So you've got nothing in your arsenal that scares me. So moving on to new business, I know what I said earlier too, and allow me to address that like really quickly if I could. Remembering everything else that's gone on over the past little while up to and including the sadistic enjoyment, the sadistic queen and everything else and everything that's gone on for the past little while, and her saying she's not innocent in all this, leads me to believe that she's actually under the impression that she can't stop herself. Which says that either she has exactly zero self-control, which means that she's probably a schizophrenic, or various other and sundry items that make it so that she cannot stop herself and leads a completely separate life from what she does at work, and is a completely separate person from what she does at work, which tells me possibly there's some things there that I don't want any part of, mostly because she runs the risk of probably maybe serving jail time or having to serve jail time or eventually going to jail from the things that she's involved with, more than likely, if it's that kind of lifestyle. And the other thing you got to remember is Alcoholics Anonymous, over half those motherfuckers do not give up their old way of life. That's why the relapse rate is so high, and that's why a certain percentage of them end up in jail. Because a lot of times they keep their criminal affiliations, they keep hanging out with the people that are still breaking the law. They live an unclean lifestyle and not a clean recovery, therefore their chances of relapsing or going to jail for something very serious skyrocket exponentially. And for all the liberal bullshit that come out of these guys' mouth and these people's mouth, you gotta say that when they go home or when they take off the jacket and everything else and they have a seat, probably the furthest thing from their mind is helping the homeless. I would guess that to be true of some of them anyway. And on that same token, if they had somebody come up to them and say to their wife or their girlfriend or their husband or whatever, hey, can you give us some money and help us out for some food? I bet you there's a certain percentage of them that would probably tell them to get fucked. But that is neither here nor there. If she lives a life of that ill repute in that regard, she's probably going to wind up, and judging by the things that happened the last time I was at Compass House, the fact that it was more than likely her that was telling me to hustle my ass back to Kamloops and put myself in a very precarious position all over again. And the fact that she's the one that got me beat up when I was in Penticton this last time, that right there in that particular one regard makes me seriously uncomfortable about going back there ever again. And what is seriously fucked up is to think that for 5 seconds I was actually entertaining the thought of marrying her and being in that particular position, because as she said or likes to think, I don't have any balls. It's not that. It's that I want to stay out and run my life and make my money and go to school and have a semi-conscious, normal kind of existence. Not because I'm wearing a Born to Lose fucking tattoo and I'm just dying to go serve jail time. I think we can safely say that that's not me. And knowing Farron as I do, he already does certain things that go against the code of the law, the Canada Charter of Rights and Freedoms, the code that we have to live by in Canada. So that being said, if she's living with him and in that situation and she's getting high, he's probably dealing her the meth and probably got her hooked for various and sundry reasons, because that's usually how he scores his women anyway. Because I know he did that to poor Michelle, who was there and was an unfortunate guest the last time I was there, and he was scoring her drugs to get in her pants. So what do I say to all this bullshit? I don't have to score women drugs to fuck them. And so far as everything is concerned, if she's been lying to fucking, and you know what, she point blank said earlier today, remember everything, and I do remember everything, and I'm sorry, but that completely disqualifies Desiree from coming anywhere near me. And I'm sorry if that makes me sound like a motherfucker or an asshole, but I don't have the patience or the fact that she puts like saran wrap over the toilet when I went to go take a piss one morning, and basically it made it look like I was not being observant, not paying attention, and she put that there judging by the evil little look on her face with just me in mind. Probably because she wanted to lower my self-confidence so that I would not believe in myself, henceforth try to, morph into my magical little buddy that was my protectorate and my friend, or so she thought. But people were misconstruing that and me actually getting mad or getting upset or having a change in mood. And people were actually looking at me and going, oh my God, he's acting like another person. He's acting like someone else. And judging by everything else, it could have easily been as well that she thought that in my heart of hearts, based on the fact that I wanted to be some sort of, I was obsessed with the African American culture back when I was a kid. And I've said this 1,000 times. So then naturally she thought that I had some sort of double identity where I thought I was a black person. And although I used to talk like J-Rock, and although I used to date fat women, that dissipated quite some time ago, over 10 years ago. In fact, and the last fat woman I dated didn't fucking last very long. So I'm not trying to be rude here, nor am I trying to be ornery or upset or not congenial or things like that. Somebody had said earlier that, she will be loved, and I agree she will. But she's got to have somebody in her life that can, cope with drugs, criminality, and other various and sundry things that I refuse to fucking have in my life. Sorry, but it's not going to happen. I can't fucking do that shit at all. I won't. I've had women in my life before that are like that. Fucking get rid of them just super fast. They're not worth the headache or the trouble. So, that's different. For her, I would do that, but there's not as much history, and that's the fucking difference. I would fucking stand by her 150%, but I don't think she's into that shit as deep or at all as fucking Desiree is. In fact, I'd fucking bank on it. But how she acts at home compared to how she acts at work compared to how she acts in other places, 3 or 4 are probably very different fucking people. And if she's the sociopath that I take her for, and she probably is, no one probably really knows what she is, who she is, or what she's really like other than her. But again, am I feeding off somebody when I'm on here? Am I being narcissistic? I've got depression. That's my big thing. I've got certain traits, whatever, and I've got depression. So, you know what? It's like this. And it's just as simple, folks. I've got traits and I've got depression. To that end, sometimes it finds me in difficulty, sometimes not. There's a link that has bipolar with genius on a constant and consistent basis. Desiree's going to say during this conversation that I burned her, and that might be true, but the thing you've got to remember is I've said nothing that is inaccurate. It hasn't been repeated on here by her before. But I would stick by Selena. I would stick by her no matter what. And she said that her co-patriots have lied to her about me, or that have lied about the situation, have said she's going to hurt me, or various and sundry items. And you know what? She wouldn't hurt me. I don't think she'd hurt me at all. And I think that probably I'm saying this video, which is probably not going to garner me any friendships, but somebody said, feed off me. No, I don't want to feed off someone here. It's not about that. It's about being with her. It's about wanting to be closer to her. It's not about that. It's not about feeding off someone. It's not so basic, so blunt, so cold. I have proven without a shadow of a doubt that I'm capable of empathy where women are concerned, romance, understanding, feelings, things like that. It's not about any of this other shit as much as it's about the one particular woman. It can't just be, I can't just transfer feelings from one woman to another. It's that particular woman for that particular reason, for that particular thing, for that particular time. And if Selena tells me that, contrary to what she said earlier, she doesn't want to see me, she doesn't want to spend time with me, that is fine. I accept that. But the thing that I'm having a hard time with is the sort of 1 message, 2 message, 3 message, 4 message. And the fact that it's happening on my fucking YouTube. And like I said, the messages are off-putting at best, especially if they're not meant towards me and they're happening on my YouTube based on a woman that I am crazy about and crazy for. And the fact that it goes up and down and around, that's called mixed messages, which will then give me pause, which furthermore will cause strain on any sort of a relationship I'm trying to start. That's a lot of truth right there, by the way. And in all this and in everything I've said, you know what I've heard and you know what I've carried away from this one particular conversation? I'm the one that lacks in maturity. I'm the one that lacks in maturity, yet all this has been going on for an extended period of time. And yet, in my humble opinion, certain people in this particular predicament have been acting like a bunch of high school kids getting ready for the fucking senior prom. So it's not just feeding off her. It's not just, using her like a car battery. It's the fact that I have deep feelings for this one particular woman. Why do you think I showed such a huge reaction when this whole thing first got brought up to begin with? Hey? And yet I get told, I get put in one singular category and say that I'm an android or I'm an automaton or something like that. And I've proven that to be false over and over again. But what you're doing is you are looking for a prescribed response in order to lump me into one singular category of being a psychopath. And that is so far from the truth, it's not even funny. And it's said that narcissists are incapable of showing empathy. I've shown empathy. It says that sociopaths are incapable of showing empathy, of showing love, of showing affection. of showing any of those types of things. Lots of times sociopathy, all the time sociopathy is caused by trauma. Lots of times it's molestation or abuse, and the one person will go back to the same gender that abused them, and the other gender, they're able to say have sexual relations with them, but they cannot show any sort of empathy or trust or feeling for in any way, shape, or form, and they're very much disconnected from the situation. If you talk to any woman that I've been with, I am not disconnected from that particular situation. So I ask you again, or rather I tell you, I feel like your assumptions are baseless, and I feel like your accusations are moot, to say the very least. And I do want Selena, and this whole thing has really fucking choked me right off, because I don't want to not be with her, but if that is the case, this needs to be carried on somewhere else besides my fucking YouTube, where people think that I'm not on here, because this all started with giving me consequences. So far, I haven't seen either of those gentlemen leave, which tells me that perhaps this was done by the sadistic queen, and the sadistic queen is not one, but the other. And the other would be Desiree.